Good morning, everybody. My name's Steve Keenan from Travel Perspective, and this is the first time that we've come onto the floor of the show. Yesterday, a lot of you would have been upstairs in the South Gallery. Today, we've got very gracious hosts in Turkey who've invited to host us for this morning's sessions, for which we're very grateful. Now, they've also provided coffee, waters, and refreshments as well, so in between sessions, please feel free to partake of the hospitality. So a couple of housekeeping points. Today's Wi-Fi is as it was yesterday. It should be much more fluid than yesterday, which was a bit sticky. So please do feel free to log in. Also, you'll be very pleased to know that all of yesterday's sessions, presentations and videos are now uploaded. So you can see those. If you go to Travel Perspective .co.uk, you'll see two links there for a live blog from yesterday, and we'll be live blogging today as well. Two more points. We'd like to thank again our sponsors, Siren Communications, Ed's here, and also GoGoBot, without whose help, etc. And I'd also like to point out that Travel Perspective, when you go in and check the seminars and the videos and the presentations, you'll see details of our new courses for next year's seminars, training on video, UGC, and an awful lot more as well. Now, before we start today, one of the reasons for being on the Turkey stand today is because the first session will be about the Silk Road, an interactive session in building a WordPress blog. And Turkey is one of the countries on the Silk Road, so very nice timing. So I would like to invite Jada from Redmint, who represents Turkey, to come up for 5 minutes and tell you about Turkey's connectivity in 2013 and their work with the Silk Road. So please give a hand to Jada from Redmint Communications. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Turkish Ministry of Culture and Tourism, I'm delighted to welcome so many of you here to our stand for today's session of WTM Social Travel Market. Thank you. With the youngest population of Europe, Turkey is a lot more connected than you might think. There are currently 37 million people in Turkey with an internet connection, and 66 million GSM users, many of those now with 3G, and that's from a population of over 72 million. And as Turkey becomes ever more connected, social media has really taken off in Turkey in as much as the same way as Western Europe. It's really become a phenomenon. Just to give you a few figures that you may not know, Turkey is ranked 7th in the world in terms of Facebook users, and that's just one place behind the UK. So the UK currently has approximately 33 million Facebook users, and for Turkey that figure is 31 million. And that accounts for more than 90% of all internet users, which is a figure that is above many even Western European countries such as Italy, France, Spain, and even Germany. Comscore has also estimated that Turkey is within the top 10 most active Twitter users, and that Turkey is 5th in the world in terms of the average number of hours spent on the internet on social networking sites. That's actually a figure that's above the UK and the US. So that's why Turkey, many Turkish brands, many Turkish organizations, including the Turkish Ministry of Culture and Tourism, have been investing more and more in social media over the years with fantastically interactive, content-rich campaigns that cover, for instance, I mean, in the UK, the social media campaigns cuts across Facebook, Twitter, but also Pinterest for images, YouTube with downloadable videos. So if you're not already following us, please do. We're at Turkey Unlimited. So we'd love to get into a conversation with you about Turkey, Turkey's tourism, and our social media campaigns. So as Steve mentioned, Turkey, of course, was a very significant part of the Silk Road also. So just before I hand over the stage to my colleagues, I'd just like to highlight that Turkey's been working with the WTO on a great number of projects in terms of restoration of many of the historic sites on the Silk Route, old caravanserais and many historic sites. So if you would like to learn more about that, or if you're inspired to blog, tweet, post, whatever it is, on social media, please come and speak to us afterwards. We have USB pens of information, images, which we'd love you to share. And of course, if you have any questions about Turkey, offline, please do come and speak to us. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Cheda, and thank you to Turkey for your gracious hospitality this morning. We're very appreciative of that. I just wanted to say as well on the question of the Silk Road, if you were here yesterday, you may have heard us talk about the Silk Road Challenge, which is an initiative that we're doing with the UNWTO aimed at travel bloggers. We launched it on the 1st of November. It runs until the 30th of November. And we're inviting bloggers to write something about the Silk Road on their blogs, whether that's text or images or video, taking part in this challenge. At the end of the month, we're going to get a judging panel together to look at all of these posts, and it's some aspect related to food and drink. That's the key theme. It's tied in with what we're doing today, the flavors of the Silk Road. And we're just encouraging you to do that, to talk about the cross-border tourism opportunities that the Silk Road offers. And it's a great competition. We've already had loads of bloggers sign up for this. This World Travel Market is a great place to get inspiration for this, of course. You know, we've got our hosts here, Turkey. I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you about Turkish food and drink, to give you some ideas on what you might post about. But also the other countries of the Silk Road, and we have a great prize for that. You can have a look on our website. If you go to, we've got a bit.ly link for this, so it's bit.ly/Silk Road Challenge. If you go to that, that will enable you to sign up for that, and we encourage you to do that. So please take a look at that. So thank you very much. Now, just about this session now, how many bloggers do we actually have here with us today? And how many of you are on WordPress? Most of you. It's not unusual, really. If you look at the WordPress website, it tells you how many blogs are being run right at the moment. There's a stats page. It's really interesting. Well, I find it interesting, but then that's maybe because I was a scientist. I don't know. But anyway, there are more than 73 million WordPress blogs around the world at the moment. It's the single most important blogging platform. And I mean, there are others out there, but as we've seen, most people are using WordPress. The reason is because it's a very user-friendly system. You may argue with that to use. Very flexible. Lots of developers out there who know how to use it. And we're very lucky to have a very talented web developer, WordPress developer with us today, Chris Richardson from Round the World Labs, rtwlabs.com. He's going to show us just how you can actually create a WordPress blog from scratch. So hopefully some of the bloggers here will have already done this, but they'll have some tips on how to improve your blog. But the people who may want to set one up already, there's some great tips in this. Also joining us today, we have Steve Whale. He's a travel blogger who blogs at You're Not From Around Here, based in Beijing, originally from Britain, but has written an awful lot about the Silk Road. And Steve actually joined me at a recent UNWTO conference in Baku, where we talked about the flavors of the Silk Road and how food can promote tourism to those countries there. So he's very well placed to talk about this, I think, today. And we're going to have it's a bit of a first for us. We're having a bit of an interactive session here. They always tell you that you shouldn't work with children, animals and technology at Excel, but we're going to give it a go. We're going to try and build a blog from scratch in 40 minutes. We've made a couple of little shortcuts just to make it easier for you, but we're going to tell you how we did those. And this is what we're going to start from. So if I can ask Chris and Steve to come up here, and feel free to, because it's interactive, we want to ask questions all the time. And Chris is just going to show you what we've done with this. So you can see on the screen here what we're doing. He's going to flick between the different parts that he's done. So, Chris.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. So WordPress, nice and simple to use. I guess.
You have to go back. I'm going to go close to that.
Yeah.
It's not working.
How's that?
This one. Do you want that?
That's all right. So WordPress I like to think of as an online version of Microsoft Word or all the rest. The tools to use and publish with make it really easy and sort of familiar, I guess. So we've shortcutted a little bit, and you can see at the moment we've got WordPress installed. Just a basic, this is what you get when you install it. Most
Made any louder at all?
web hosts and getting it online have got really simple one-click install, setup, and it's there. And this is what you'll get when you load your site. So a basic post, nothing overly interesting at the moment. If we can log into the back end, which we'll do now.
So can I just ask you, Chris, there, how you actually went about that? Because I know there are two different sorts of WordPress on there.
Yep.
There's WordPress.org,
Yep.
WordPress.com. What's the difference between those two
So
things?
the WordPress.com one is a free version of WordPress, which you can go to their site, sign up for, and it's there. There's no install, there's no setup, and it's a great platform to get started. But it does limit you in the customizations and things you can do. They sort of pick the themes you can use, and it's sort of like set up really for getting online, start writing, and go from there. There's not a massive amount you can do with it. Whereas with .org, you have complete control over what it looks like, how it works. You can add functionality, take functionality away, and pretty much do with it as you please. So in the back end of the .org version, yep.
Does that cost money to go to
The .org money does cost. You have to get, in a sense, an address on the internet. Just like you get a postal address in the street, you've got to have somewhere to put your website. So hosting ranges from around $6 a month to more. It depends on how popular you are. The more popular you are, generally the more you'll pay to facilitate hosting the server and running the server.
And have you got any recommendations on companies that you would host that with?
When I say that, most of the time all hosts are as bad as each other. There's some really good budget ones like Bluehost, HostGator, Media Temple are a really big provider, and then there's dedicated ones like WP Engine, which are catered just for WordPress. That's all they work with. They tighten things up, they secure things. If you're just starting out, it's nice to start cheaper. But Media Temple and WP Engine, if you've got a corporate site, you want reliability, you want insurance that your site's not going to go down. They're the guys that I look to and put my clients onto, because I know the support's there, and you're going to have a decent sort of level of support.
And can I just bring Steve in here? I was just going to ask him about how you would actually get WordPress onto your server.
Okay. Most web hosts will actually install WordPress for you as part of their package. Alternatively, you can go to WordPress.org and download it, and it's a very simple 5-minute installation. It walks you through picking a username and a password, and it installs itself, really. It's very straightforward. And once you've done so, it looks exactly like this.
Yeah, so you get a nice little easy-to-use dashboard. It tells you your comments, easy sort of, that's your dashboard. That's where you access everything, go from everywhere. Down the left-hand side, you've got menus for posts and uploading videos and media, and improving comments and designing the appearance, plugins and things like that. So the first thing most people want to do when they get their website is make it look better. The default theme, it's nice, it's functional, but you want it to look like your own.
Can you just talk about themes for a bit, and where do you actually get them? Yeah, Steve will talk about that actually.
There are a number of places to get themes. First, if you've got a free blog or you're using WordPress, you can go to WordPress.org, and they'll have a number of themes like this. There are probably thousands to choose from by now, but it's worth getting one that's updated regularly. Alternatively, you can pay for a theme. If you pay for one, you'll have support and updates constantly. It'll constantly be secure as well. Generally, it's a bad idea to find free themes on the web, because they may include links you don't want or advertising you don't really appreciate.
Yeah.
And where have you got this theme from, Chris?
The theme I'm going to use today is from a company called Woo Themes. Really well respected in the WordPress development community. Create some really unique themes and built in so much functionality, which hopefully I'll be able to show a bit of that today. That means that you don't need to know code. You don't need to know the technical aspects to set up a blog. They've got some great little GUIs and stuff like that, which I'll show in a minute. to get things up and change colors and change text and add features that you don't have to be a tech guy knowing how to write HTML and all that sort of stuff. You really can just install it, set the settings, and away you go.
And I just wanted to say as well about the web address or the URL we've got at the top here, which says www.flavorsofthesilkroad.com. Now, normally when you first set up with your hosting provider, they would give you the web address, which would be usually some random stream of letters and numbers, and then the hosting name. So, you know, s123.1and1.co.uk, for example. But to make it more user friendly, what we've done is we've gone to a site to buy a domain name. So there are plenty out there. I use Easily, 123reg, Fast Hosts. You can go to all of these sites, check out whether a domain name is available. We looked for Flavors of the Silk Road because obviously that's the theme of what we're trying to do. It's a food and drink blog about the Silk Road. It was available. We've paid £10 for a year to register this name, and then it's just a process of repointing that address towards your hosting provider, and that's pretty straightforward, to be honest. I mean, your hosting provider will give you the details of what you need to do. You just go into whoever you've booked the domain with and repoint it to that space, and then it will show up like this.
And to add to that, a lot of hosting providers will let you register the domain as you sign up for hosting, so you can do it all in the one place, so it's less confusing. You're not setting things up, because when you buy it through them, they pre-configure it so it's ready to go, and you can sidestep a step, I guess you could say. So another good thing about the theme I've picked today is that everyone's talking about mobile these days and apps and all the rest. This theme is fully responsive, so whether you've got an iPad or an iPhone, it'll adjust and fit. Hopefully if anybody's got Wi-Fi later, they'll be able to hit up this website and see what I'm talking about.
When you buy a theme, it comes as a little zip file like that, and you just upload it to the server, and it, as Chris is doing now, activates, and it works straight off the bat.
So yeah, with the theme activated, we can come back here, refresh our main page, hopefully. So let's change the look a little bit. Still doesn't look very good, but that's the benefit of having a theme like this. You can customize and do all sorts of things that you like. So if we just go into the settings here, they give you all sorts of things to play with. You can upload logos, you can change your styling, your layout, all sorts of bits and pieces. I'm just going to upload a logo that we've prepared earlier just to make life a little bit easier.
And by the way, if anyone has a question at any point, just raise your hand and we'll try and come around to you if it's related to the point we're going through at the time.
Can you change from a free theme to a custom theme?
Yes.
And keep your posts and everything?
The great thing about WordPress is themes are completely independent of all of your content. So the theme is changing the color of your house, basically. You can just repaint it. You don't change anything on the inside. Everything is still there. Some of them are just where your menu is and things like that. But the great thing about WordPress is the content stays no matter what it is. Your theme is an extra layer on top. It's the painting on top of everything else. So no matter what theme you've got, doesn't matter. Content stays, works as it was. So we've just got to add a logo, nice and simple. You can get one designed, you can make one yourself, and instantly it's changed the top of our site and given us a bit more appeal, I guess, than over the default theme.
Do you have any recommendations about what you should put at the top, or is that really something you should be talking to a graphic designer about?
Designers will have certain things, but I mean, I like to put something that projects what the site's about. So here, Flavors of the Silk Road, we've got sort of a food and then the title, just sort of, it's inviting. I can look at the top of the site without having read the content and tell it's about food. So keeping it on topic of what you want is a nicer way to keep people interested. What we'll do now is we'll just see if we can add some content up quickly. So we go up to our posts, add new post, get rid of this. And WordPress comes with your default styling. You've got your bold, your center, your alignments, everything that you're familiar with Microsoft Word or whatever editor you've used in the past. So I'm just going to grab some content that I've already got saved here. So normally you would write your content and all the rest, but obviously we're cheating to fit everything in time. So I'll just insert that. And on the right hand side, you've got the options for categories, and tags, and a featured image right at the bottom. Categories are a way to, I guess, file your content. Like you file things in a filing cabinet and all the rest, you want people to easily find things. And you can then use the categories as a menu structure so that you might have food from home cooking to restaurants. You can categorize this to make it easier for readers to get to and find what you need to find quickly and easily without having to use a search feature or things like that. If you can make it easier for readers to get on your site and find what they're after, they're more likely to come back, they're more engaged, and it's really simple with menus and stuff like that. So just get this one up here. We'll put a nice little fancy image on to show what it's going to look like.
When you're creating a post like this, you can add categories either from the post creation page, or within WordPress there's a section called categories, which allows you to add categories and tabs, which I'm sure Chris will come to later. It's a good idea to do that. Have a think about that before you get too complicated on your site.
Yeah.
Discuss the difference between categories and tags.
Okay, categories I like to think of as using as the navigation of a site. So use that as everyone sees on the top of a website, food, places, things like that. I like to use categories as a way to navigate. Tags are a way to, I guess, micro catalog. So say you might write something about, I don't know, home cooking in Turkey. We've also done home cooking in, say, Azerbaijan or China. People can look at home cooking and find out the different areas, sort of breaking it down again to that next level. Tags, I generally recommend people 2 or 3, don't go overboard.
Is it bad?
It's not bad, but it's just extra things there. It's more navigation ways to get people confused. I like to keep it simple and a nice flow so that people can go, all right, categories here. Tags sort of break it down a little bit, but I think you can have too many and it can get confusing. But people differ.
It's related to SEO. Are tags help people find?
Yes and no. It's
The question was, do tags help you with SEO?
most of the time, if you've got, when you set up, I'll show this in a second, when you set up your site, you've got a category and you've got the name of the post. For me, they're the most important. Then your content, keeping your images, your photo all in line. Tags, I sort of put at the bottom. They're nice to do. I put 2 or 3. If I'm writing a post about food in Turkey, I might use as the tag the town, something unique. Maybe if it's a restaurant, tag the restaurant there. Just 2 or 3 to add to that extra relevance so people can narrow down that a little more. But for the most part, that's where I go. That's where I stop. So, I mean, for a category, we can. What topic did we choose? For the most part, we'll just call it food. Nice and simple. The good thing is you can add categories as you go, but as Steve said, it's better to set up your categories and stuff at the start because changing things down the road can get more complicated. So if you get everything, the navigation, the core part set up first, then you can branch out and do more.
And quite often the categories quite often relate to the top level of navigation, don't they?
Yeah.
So some sites will have, divide things into news and opinion, or food and drink here. So you might see that in the top level of navigation menu, those categorizations where you wouldn't necessarily see a tag.
So I'm just gonna. The good thing about this theme is it's got some different ways you can lay out content on the home page. So at the moment, I've published the post. It's there. Doesn't look overly interesting. It's got a nice sort of feature photo, and then you can click into it. And I didn't give it a title, so that doesn't show up. Let's just fix that. And now it's not going to load. Come on, internet. There we go. Now it's got a title. So it's there, it's nice. It aligns itself, it sets it up for you. You can click on the title and you'll get a bit more Text is there, you can insert more pictures through the content, but it's still not really exciting. The homepage is where people land, people get interested. So you can actually fancy it up a little bit more. I'm just going to create a couple of pages here to set this up.
Can you explain the difference between posts and pages, Steve?
Okay. Pages are normally static data. They might be an about page or a contact page, contact form maybe, and a post tends to be the regularly written articles. So you'd have a series of posts about a country, for example, and then a page about the author. Does that make sense? Any questions? Some sites are mostly consist of pages. They tend to be, because you can use WordPress for more than just blogs. You can use it as a static content site as well. So, for example, you could have a school website running WordPress as well, which would be a large series of pages. Sorry.
Sorry, won't be a second.
It's actually increasingly the case that they are using WordPress to do those sort of sites. I mean, you see some of the world's biggest brands actually using WordPress now to, instead of getting a web developer to create something from scratch in HTML, because of the flexibility of it, the availability of developers who can create plugins, which we're going to talk about later on, to add functionality to the blog.
Also, everything you do is content managed, so it's time stamped and you can see what you've done, when you've done it, and who did it. So you can roll back to previous versions and you can publish data with large groups of people as well.
And what a lot of people have realized as well is that WordPress blogs are actually very good for SEO purposes, and that they can put their site on WordPress and have it appear high up in on the first page of Google. It's not sort of deemed any less respectable because it's on the WordPress system.
So I'm just uploading a couple other posts so you can get a better feel for what the homepage is going to look like with the slight change. Just takes a little time, unfortunately.
Does anyone have any questions? If you just want to state who you are.
Hi, it's Graham Perch. I just want to know, would you use WordPress then instead of a normal website? Would we use a blogging website instead of a normal website?
WordPress is more than a blog. These days it's evolved so much so that it can be your content management system. It doesn't have to be a blog at all. I've recently done a website for a client. They're not using a blog at all. They're using pages as you would have a normal sort of a hierarchy across the top, and with a few added extra features. But there's no so much a blog, it's just a static site. But because of the ease of use to update content and add images and features, it's much easier than getting a developer to come in and he's going to charge you $20,000 to create a unique and custom backend and uploading stuff, where WordPress will do most of it out of the box for you. It doesn't have to be a blog, it can be anything, and that's how much it evolved. It did start out as just being a blogging platform, that's what it was. These days, I mean, you've still got Blogger and other places that are free for blogging, but WordPress has gone so much more than just being a blog now. It is a website management system. It is the complete package, I guess, now. And as more and more plugins and themes like this grow and grow, you can do more and more.
And there's another question down the back, I think. Just say who you
Hi.
are.
Is there a specific target that is addressed with WordPress?
Sorry?
Is there a specific target that WordPress is able to address versus other kind of social media?
WordPress sort of works for everything. There's no sort of specific audience or person that can use it. I use it for a personal blog. I use it for a tech business as a sort of a static site. Other people use it for membership forums and things like that. It has such a broad reach. Some of them really popular websites, tech websites and stuff, run WordPress as their system that runs everything, but you wouldn't tell from the outside. It's completely, you can change the look, the feel, It can be anything from a food blog to running the website for Turkey's main featured tourists. It has the ability to do that sort of stuff. I'm not saying everybody can use it that way, and people have different ideas and opinions, but it's not one specific. It's the platform that you can build on, I guess.
I run a website aside from this called Public Sector Travel, which is a very niche website, news website aimed at people who work in government and need to know about travel. And it looks like a traditional news website, say like the Times or something, and it has that structure, but it's all built on WordPress, but you wouldn't necessarily know that from actually looking at it. But then Travel Perspective, with Steve here, we also run a blog on our Travel Perspective site, which is in the traditional sense of a blog, so you can have the flexibility to do those different things. Are there any other questions while Chris is cracking on here?
Let's see how we get on.
Sorry, Chris. Can you just say who you are?
My name's Rukia Hussain. I'm from the BBC. But I just want to ask, could you give us examples of blogs that have impressed you so that we can look them up?
I think Steve probably can say a few of those.
What's the question? Blogs that have impressed? Well, there are everything from schools that run WordPress with a collection of pages that teachers can update, and pupils can have their own website within the school. Huge blogs such as Mashable.com run on WordPress as well. It's actually very hard to know sometimes which sites are using WordPress. There are other content management systems, but I think WordPress is by far the easiest to use at the moment.
Yeah, and you must have some, Chris, that you've seen.
I mean, blogging-wise, there's all sorts of different websites for all sorts of different uses. I mean, I like to think mine's really good, but, you know, I guess there's guys like, at least in the travel world, there's travel.com's got a news site. It's run on WordPress. The design-wise, it looks really good. It's fresh. And then you can have simpler sites. It really depends on whether someone's blogging for themselves or whether it's news, tools, things like that. But yeah, in the blogging-wise, it's really personal choice. Some sites people think are really good. I'm not so rapt about. I think as long as you can get the content sent in the front and center, you highlight what the site is about so people can get there and find it, that's what makes a good blog for me. Design is great. For the most part, I'm still coming to read your content.
If you go to wordpress.com, there's also a showcase of the best uses of WordPress. And also a number of the premium theme sellers have additional showcases of people that have used their theme to make far more complex versions than the actual original developers did. For example, I believe somewhere on the Woo Themes website, there's a showcase of Canvas themes, and some bear no resemblance to the original theme at all, but still use the helpful backend.
Yeah.
And can you explain what you've done here, Chris?
So
you've put a slider on.
Just
on
basically change the layout of the homepage a little bit. Canvas comes with some really nice features, so you can instantly change the layout, tick a few boxes, and add extra features. So at the moment, I've just put a sliding effect on the front, has the title, a brief excerpt of what the post is, does it all automatically for you. All you have to do is put it in a specific category, and away it goes. So I haven't resized both these pictures to fit well, but you can get a feel for instantly. You know, you can highlight specific posts there. So if you've written a really interesting post, or you're highlighting a particular destination or a restaurant, you can have it appear at the top longer than everything else appears below. So you can just add that extra sort of highlight. You've got a nice picture, it's highlighting what people are doing, and just a more inviting way. And then down the bottom, you've got your other posts. They show up there, you've got an excerpt, the title. Sorry, everything's moving around because I haven't resized the picture properly. And it just adds a bit more, I guess, fills the site out a bit more, makes it look more like a magazine where you've got a small column here, a feature here. It's more easy to relate to.
And can I ask you, Steve, about what content works? I mean, you publish a regular travel blog. What do you find people are actually interested in seeing? Is it great photos? Is it interesting words or video, or a combination of those things?
It's very different for each different blogger. Some love to paint pictures with words, others are amazing photographers. I tend to find blogs with large photos do particularly well, because, for example, on this you can see that there's a sidebar on the right of the blog, which takes up quite a lot of space, whereas Canvas allows you to have columns on the left or the right, or no columns at all. And the no columns version is very good for having showcasing large photos.
I'm just going to go through.
Other people like lists and. Sorry.
Yeah. The other thing, I'm just going to go through the menus and stuff at the moment, because at the moment we haven't really done anything with laying out how people can access the site. I've put a couple of posts up, and that's good, but you need to be able to navigate around, get around. So at the moment, the menu structure is not really good. I've just gone in and changed a couple of settings so that it can be a bit more user-friendly. So you've got the home page, obviously, easy to get to. By default, WordPress creates you an about page. I've not put anything in there at the moment, but you can put in some text to say what the site's about. Introduce who you are, if it's a personal site, if it's a more business, about the area or the region, and just have that sort of there. So that's just a standard page and works. What I've also done is a food category we created. You can now click to that, and now you can see an archive of what posts belong to that that category, I guess. So if we had 3 or 4 on food, they'd all appear here, so it's easy to find if I've been talking about destinations for the last 3 or 4 days, but someone's interested in food. They can easily navigate around. I haven't had to do anything more than go into the menu settings. It's got nice little bits down the side here that say, okay, what are your categories? What are your food? I'll just tag the gallery for instance. Add to the menu. We can drag it around to how we want it to be. We may say we want it to be underneath the category or make a subcategory. I'll do that for the home one there.
And these menus work with categories and pages and links. It's very easy to move the menu around.
So there's no coding, there's no complex things to go through. It's pretty much drag and drop, which is really good and really user friendly for everyone to navigate around. Just wait for this to reload again.
I think that's actually a really important point. It means that, as many of the bloggers here will know, that there's just no barrier at all now to publishing. I mean, you only have to spend a few pounds to get a theme and a picture or something to do this, and then you don't need to know any coding. You just you can go into this. I mean, it may seem quite complex, but it's actually fairly user friendly.
It's really user friendly, and it's very difficult to break it. Good thing with WordPress in posts and pages, it does revisions as well. So if you accidentally make a mess of what you're currently working on, you can actually go back to a previous revision and recover what you're working on. So it really is really user friendly. It's very difficult to break it in the most part. So
this has led to the explosion in the number of blogs. This user friendliness, and it's why so many individuals are becoming travel bloggers. It's why so many organisations are setting up their own corporate travel blogs. It's just as easy to do, yeah. And we're going to see more and more of this in the future, I think.
I did some research earlier for another presentation I did, and this company did some research on the top 100 sort of blogs and sites, and 50% of them were using WordPress. If that's not enough incentive because everybody else is using it, then yeah, it's just the way to go for me as far as I'm concerned. So we've just changed the menus a little bit. I've added a gallery page, and I've added our about page as sort of a drop-down menu. You don't have to code anything. I said it's nice, drag and drop. We can easily highlight things wherever they are. Now the gallery page we've created, it's a part of the theme. So it's a feature that's built into the theme. It will take the featured image that I've highlighted and put it there, and then it links to the post. So we could do multiple settings and categories and break this up a little bit more, so you could have galleries on food, galleries on destinations, but it's a nice way to highlight a post with a picture. Everybody loves pictures. Pictures in everything I've ever done are what attracts people more. So if you can have a nice bright page, yep. These are the featured images. The theme by default grabs the featured image for the post, prints it up there. Code wise you can make them bigger, you can realign them, but for the sake of just today we're just going to go with the small image here at the moment, and it will automatically populate it for you. Any post that's got an image set will appear in here, and you can have pages and all that sort of stuff. It's just some of the things it does by default for you, so there's no extra coding. It's nice and simple. I mean, it's been 20 minutes or so, and we've got something that looks more like a website than we did when we started off. It's also really good for embedding video and stuff like that, which I'm just going to cheat and steal something from YouTube at the moment because the internet's not quite as fast as I'd like. Let's see if we can find something for Turkey quickly. This one looks good. So I'm just going to grab some code from them. So YouTube have all this sort of stuff. YouTube have some, you go to the image, or the video, sorry, it's got a share feature at the bottom. And they've got some embed code which says, put this if you want to display it on your website, if you want to display it anywhere on the internet basically. So they've got some nice code you can grab really quickly. So if I copy that and go back to our sites here. Come on, internet. This is why we don't work with technology.
Are there any more questions in the audience while we're waiting for this? Just say who you are, please.
Hi, my name is Diana. I'm starting my own multilingual blog, and it's just a question: is it possible to run multiple languages in one blog? And is it well? How to do that? Does it, for example, recognize Russian letters like Cyrillic letters or?
Excuse me. WordPress is set up to work. I can't remember how many languages it does. It's set up by default. It's got all the languages built in. I know there's German and Spanish and all these ones already. There's also some really good plugins that you can add to the site, so you can actually have a website that runs in both languages.
The standard version of WordPress actually works with most languages. I blog in Chinese quite a lot as well, so it copes with Mandarin characters, for example.
Yeah. And on top of that, I said there's plugins set up so you can run your site in English, German, French, and people can click through to the different one. Obviously, it's a little more work for you because you've got to write the post twice. There are plugins that will help do translation, but from what I've heard and what people said when they speak the other language, it doesn't read quite so well. But I've got clients that use multiple language blogs, and it works really well, especially if you're targeting a specific region. You want to attract outside visitors, but you also want to cater for the locals and write about stuff who may not speak the other language that you blog in. So all these sorts of things you can do with it, and it really is as simple as upload a plugin, activate it, some basic setup stuff, and away you go. And it all there. There's no hard coding part, I guess you could say.
Steve, I know that you've got some interesting plugins, and maybe you could just explain what a plugin is, and then some examples of ones that you use regularly.
Plugins are small drop-in pieces of code. These can be either purchased or most of them are free from WordPress.com. Some help with, I'm sure Chris will get to this later, but some help with things like caching to make your site faster. Some have functionality, such as showing your most recent posts or recent comments. Others will allow you to insert sharing links, such as Facebook and Twitter, which I know Chris is going to add later on. Yes. There are really plugins to do almost anything. You can turn WordPress into an event management tool, or you can turn it into a calendar, or even things like car booking websites and so on, or booking holidays as well, and hotels.
Pretty much, if there's something you want to do, chances are there's either a plugin or a theme to do it now already. Possibly paid, possibly free. Generally, the paid ones are better because you're going to get support. So I just uploaded a video, imported a video for the site. It puts it in there. You can hit play, embeds it for you. You don't have to do anything fancy. You can upload videos yourself, but I find from a social media perspective and reaching a bigger audience, if you upload something to YouTube first or Vimeo, you just reach a broader audience because you've got the YouTube audience who may not even know about your site, but you've got your readers on your site, which you can then drive them across to your YouTube channel and just build the extra engagement in different areas. Same way you can add Facebook little like buttons to the side of your site, just ways to keep that interaction. So you might have a really strong Facebook page, you want to convert them over to the blog or backwards and forwards, that sort of thing. The good thing, I guess, as Steve touched on with plugins and things like that, with Facebook and with Twitter and all these sort of things, you want people to be able to share your content as well. Here's a plugin called DigDig, which has the code already pre-configured to share with Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all sorts of different areas. And all you have to do is in the left hand side, you've got plugins. You can add plugin, search for it, hit install, and then we can activate it. And by default, should do some nice things for us already. Or it might not. They may have changed things on me.
A lot of themes come with a number of plugins built in, such as the social sharing, extra. The sidebar on the right-hand side is full of things called widgets, which are small areas of text or code. Some plugins add to this, so you can add things like tabs or recent comments and recent posts. Again, premium themes will come with these built in, but you can always add more.
And one plugin that I'm using a lot now is Yoast, which I don't know if anyone has used that for SEO. I've been using all-in-one SEO plugin on WordPress for a long time, and that's sort of fairly basic way to make sure that every post you're doing is SEO friendly. But Yoast now takes that to a new level. It enables you to make sure you're using your the keywords that you want to be using coming up for in search engine. It's got sort of like a traffic light user
we can
interface
go over that one
to
in a
make sure
second.
that you know that you're doing the right thing. So it's really easy to use.
Yeah.
It's like Toast, but with a Y.
So I've just added the sharing icons in a static spot. By default, it's added Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn. People can easily you can either put it at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page, left, right. It's got all sorts of alignment features. You can have it display on your home page, on your pages, and they've got different versions. So say we want the smaller Twitter version link instead of the massive big one, you can have the smaller version. And it is tick a box, change the setting. If we go down to the bottom, hit save, and that's it.
I think we have a question from over here.
Hello, sorry, hi. My name is Rebecca Brown. I'm from Travel Editions Tour Operator. If I mean, you've mentioned these plugins and what they do, but you obviously know the name of the plugin and therefore to type it. Is the text where you can say, I want a plugin that will do X, Y, and Z?
WordPress have got a really good repository of where all their plugins are stored. It's a massive directory and that you can search on and say, you have to be a little bit specific because there are thousands and thousands of plugins. But generally you can search for one that's saying, social icons or add Twitter to my site. The other thing is, Google is a really good resource. For the most part, there's some really good articles from places like wpbeginner.com, websites, things like that, will list plugins that are useful. One thing actually I can show you.
Sorry, they're generic plugins, not specifically just for WordPress.
No, they're all for WordPress.
Oh, right, okay, but you said
everything's for everything. The install plugins page basically searches the WordPress repository to say, all right, obviously I know what the name of them is, so it's easier for me. But you can do searches. They've got popular tags here at the bottom. So say you're looking for something to do with comments or Facebook or images. So you can try and find them that way. But again, the more you get into it and the more you do a bit more, it does require a little bit of research and a little bit of trial and error. I'll just look up the WordPress SEO one.
When you install a plugin from WordPress.com, it tells you who wrote it and when they last changed it as well, which is always a good thing to look at, because some may have not been updated for over 2 years, which means they're probably out of date or insecure. But some are updated on a weekly basis almost.
So when I've just searched for the WordPress SEO one, the Yoast one, it's got a ratings against it, so you've got an idea of people like that plugin, people use that plugin, they've rated it saying, okay, well this must be a good one. You've got one below it, doesn't rate quite as well. You can view the details of the plugin to get a bit of an idea of what's changing on it, what they do, if it loads. There we go. So you get a description. These are all things you can do within WordPress without having to go off to a separate site, look around. So you can see that this one's been updated 27 days ago. It's compatible with the latest versions. It's been downloaded 2.5 million times. So you can get a feel, plugins that are used a lot, you can get a feel for the ones that are good. Some of it is a little bit of trial and error. There's plugins that I've installed thinking these are going to be great. Turned out to be horrible.
You can also see a link there to the WordPress.org plugin page, which will take you through to the WordPress site where they'll have a support forum where you can see lots of questions and answers about that plugin as well. So how other people are using it and any problems they may have had.
Another one that people probably want to look at, it was at the top of the list there, Akismet.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to say anything about that. Once you've been running a blog for a little while, you'll recognise why you need this, and it's because you start getting lots of comment spam back. All sorts of seemingly legitimate people contacting you via your comments, but actually all they're looking for is to
spam is probably one of the worst things you have to deal with on your site, because everybody wants to get a link to their site. Everyone wants to get noticed. Most of the time it's spammers selling affiliate sales for so many number of different random things. Akismet is a service provided by the paid WordPress organization. For personal use, they provide it for free. For businesses, things like that, there's a small fee each year. But what it does is basically, when you get a comment, it vets it against its database. Is it good? Is it bad? If it's not sure, it'll put it in the pending and let you approve the comment. If it thinks it's fine, or it's someone that's commented before, things like that, it'll automatically approve it. So it takes sort of the moderation job away, makes it a little bit easier. Every now and again, it gets it wrong. But for the most part, it makes life a lot less time consuming for you, because you don't have to be constantly moderating things.
Now I know we've only had 40 minutes here, but unfortunately our time is almost up. So are there a last couple of questions that we can take from the audience that anyone wants to ask?
Yes, I'm Ann Lombardi from the Trip Chicks of Atlanta, Georgia in USA, and I just was wondering, can you tell me, you built this, now how do you get people to look at it? Is that going to be covered at a different session?
There is a lot of ways. When I started out with my first site, I started commenting on visiting sites that were relevant to my market. So for me, it was a travel blog, so I started visiting other travel bloggers' sites. I started engaging with, commenting on Facebook pages for Turkey's website or America's website, sort of getting out there and trying to get noticed, and proactively on Twitter, speaking to people, interacting with people that I'm interested in, interacting with different people that have the same ideas. It doesn't happen overnight, and the less content you've got, Google's not instantly going to put you at the top of the rank for everything. I mentioned the SEO plugin before. You can do a little bit to get this set up right. So at the top it's got a preview that says this is what it's going to appear in your little part of Google search. So you can customize that to help get people in, make it more engaging. But I found engaging with the community that you're involved in, so whether it's food, whether it's travel, there's always a community around there. The more you engage with them, and you can offer to guest post on a personal blog, a food blog, a destinations blog, and they'll have an established readership. You posting on there with a link to your site is a way to transfer them across to yours. So posting on other sites in the same area or branching out a little bit is how I've found the best way to get people to see your site. And as you're bringing more in, they're then promoting it to their friends, and it's a slow process, but one that I think if you can reach a targeted audience, that's the way to go.
And the other thing I would say as well is if you're on Google+, make sure that you've added your blog to your profile, because you can set up a link showing that you're an author on that blog. So then that content that you post on your blog then appears in other people on your G+ network will appear in their search results. And if you've got a nice photo, your face will appear in that first page of search results if you've written something relevant to that.
Setting that up, I found early on, because there wasn't a lot of pictures appearing in search results. I found once I had mine set up and I got it set up early, it boosted my search traffic by about 10%, because you're more likely to click on a picture. I know if I see a whole bunch of Google text, oh, there's a picture, I just gravitate towards that by default. So things are ways to get out there and get in people's eyes a bit more. It seems to work.
And do we have one last question?
Hi, Marina Paulis, Teresa.com. Could you add database on the WordPress site? Like, for example, if you want to add some villas or apartments?
Yep. there's themes that are built custom for that, or there's plugins you can add to do listing of places to rent, places just to see. I can't think of the one off the top of my head, but there is a really good one. I've lost it at the moment, but you can have just a standard directory. There's some really good tools for that, and it can be as a plugin. So how we've set up the image gallery at the top, that can be a listing of all hotels or in the area, and then you can still have other content and images and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be just a directory like some websites you'll buy and it is just a directory. WordPress, you can subdivide things into separate areas and do all that sort of stuff, but definitely, yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you to Chris for demonstrating that with the challenging technology, and to Steve as well for his insight there. And I'm sure they're sticking around afterwards, so if you want to grab them and ask them sort of individual questions, thank you both. Could you give them a round of applause, please? Thank you.